let's take a look at the Joyful Glimmer hot foil plate from my new Yana's De-Light-Ful Glimmer hot foil collection with Spellbinders. Hi everyone, I'm Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. So this is a two-part glimmer plate. There is one plate that says Be Joyful and one more plate with a foliage. Now this one might look a little bit complicated, a little weird. You might be looking at this plate and wondering, what the heck is this? Well, this is designed to give you options. First of all, you can foil just the Joyful alone and use it as a large sentiment on your card. Or you can foil the two plates together so you can have a little bit of that beautiful foliage around the sentiment. Here's an example where I foiled both plates in matte gold foil on black glossy paper. This is the Simon Says Stamp black glossy cardstock. It is fabulous for foiling, but you cannot color or ink blend on it because it is glossy. Now here's a card where I already did my foiling, and this was also foiled in matte gold, and I colored the foliage using my Copic markers. So you have this option to add foliage, and you basically treat the foliage as a stamped image that you can color using your favorite coloring medium. Now this also gives you the opportunity to foil the different parts in different colors of foil. Here I did different colors of foil to show you the different looks that you can have. So I have the Joyful foiled in matte gold, and then the foliage is foiled in opaque black. And again, I colored the foliage using alcohol markers to have that different look. I absolutely love this result. And if you look closely, you will notice the foliage also has little dots. So it's not just the outline images, not just the holly berries and leaves and all of that, but you also have tiny dots foiled on the background. Now, whenever I color my images, my stamped images, I love to add dots to my coloring using a pen. So when I was designing this plate, I thought to myself, you know what? It would be awesome to add little dots to mimic the coloring that I typically do when I color my images. So that's what these dots are for. That's why they're there. So let's take a look at the how-to. I'm sure you're wondering how this plate can be used, how you can align the two plates to have that one image. And it's actually not that hard to do. It's actually very easy to do. All you need is some low-tack tape, and you probably already have it if you've been foiling before. So first, foil the Be Joyful plate as you would foil any other image. Here I have a panel of white cardstock. This is Simon Says Stamp 130-pound cardstock, and I really like this paper whenever I'm foiling something solid like this Joyful. I have taped my plate to the paper using low-tack tape. This is the Spellbinders Best Ever Craft Tape. Now, you don't necessarily need to tape this plate at this step, but you will need to tape the second plate. Now, my piece of foil is a little bit too big for this plate. I cut it too big, but that's okay. It's not going to be a problem for my image. I'm just going to foil it as is. So I have my Glimmer hot foil system all set up and ready, and I'm just going to place my Glimmer plate, my foil, and my paper onto my Glimmer, press the timer button, add my shims, and just wait for the machine to do its thing and heat up the plate. I'm not going to focus on the hot foiling process and technique in this video because there are many video tutorials out there. And if you're watching this video, I assume you are already familiar with the Glimmer hot foiling process. So I have my Platinum 6 die cutting and embossing machine ready. Once the Glimmer light stops flashing, I'm going to send this through my die cutting machine to apply pressure and transfer that beautiful foil onto my paper. Now, I like to go forward and back, and then I just dock my Glimmer hot foil platform back into the docking station so that it stays hot and I can keep using it. Now, let's take a look at this background. Beautiful. I love the solid foiling that I'm able to get with this plate on this paper. So you have the Be Joyful sentiment, and this can easily be the focal point of your card. It's very beautiful, it's very classy, very bold. It takes center stage on your project easily. Now we want to add foliage. The foliage aligns easily around the foiled sentiment. As I place the plate over the foiled Joyful, you can see how easy it is to align it. You can see that it has open areas through which you can see if you have aligned it perfectly or not. It's very easy. And there you have a few sections to keep an eye on. So just look at the curve around the letter J, then look for the section around the letter F, this section around the letter Y, and a curve around the letter U. So if you have these aligned, you're good. And by the way, there's no perfect alignment. So this plate can be moved a little bit to the left or to the right, up or down. The plate is not like layering stamps, where the placement has to be absolutely perfect. No, there's room for error, and that takes the pressure off. You just want to make sure to tape your plate to the paper once you have aligned it, and make sure you do not tape over any foiled areas, as tape might remove some of the foiling. Now I'm using opaque black foil to foil the foliage to have a lot of contrast. You can use the same foil color or different, so you have that option. Now here's the result. Love it. The matte gold foil is nice and shiny, and then the opaque black foil is not quite as shiny. So I feel like these two work really well together. So you have a beautiful, beautiful image. Now you can, of course, foil this in different colors of foil on different colors of cardstock. Here, for example, I used, again, the matte gold because it is my favorite, and I foiled it on the Spellbinders Glacier cardstock. Now, my foiling is not perfect here because this paper is not quite as good for solid foiling, but it is okay. The foliage looks much better, and it is foiled in opaque white foil. I love it. Now, I have a couple of card ideas in this video because, of course, I want to show you how you can use the Be Joyful Glimmer plate to make beautiful Christmas cards. Now for my first card, I'm pairing the Be Joyful sentiment with the Poinsettia Blooms die cut. I have one poinsettia die cut that I put together and then I cut it apart, and I'm using it to frame my sentiment. Now before I do that, I want to trim this background a little bit. I want it to be 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches, and with that done, I can add the poinsettia. So I don't need 3 poinsettias. I have 3 poinsettia sections. I don't need 3 poinsettias. I just need 1 poinsettia, and I cut it into pieces. Now I do have another video coming soon to show you how to create the poinsettia, how to put it together, how you can create this look, and it's not hard at all. Now, it's such an easy card, very easy to do. You just foil the sentiment, you make a poinsettia, and you use the poinsettia to frame the sentiment, and you're done. I used a layer of fun foam to adhere and pop the sentiment layer up on my card. This is an A2 card, and I love using fun foam for this. You can, of course, use foam adhesive squares or foam adhesive tape, but this fun foam is a little bit cheaper, and it is also very light, so I sometimes like to use fun foam. Now, I also have the little berries and leaf die cuts. These are part of the poinsettia bloom die cut, and I cut these off intentionally before I attached my poinsettias. I cut them off because I wanted to arrange them differently on my card. And I also die cut additional pieces so that I could have more. And I'm just using my scissors. I'm cutting them apart even further. I'm trying to figure out the best placement on my card. And I'm going to add those, here and there to fill this background in even more, to help frame my sentiment even more. And you can add as many or as few pieces as you like. So here's a look at the finished Be Joyful card. I added a couple of pearls. These are the Fashion Oyster pearls from Spellbinders, and my card is done. Perfectly beautiful, very gorgeous, clean, and simple. Now, if you are using the two plates together, if you're using the Be Joyful along with the foliage, I do have another card idea to show you. So here I have a panel with matte gold foiling for the Be Joyful and the black foiling for the foliage. Now I'm using my Copic markers along with my Olo markers to add some coloring. I'm not going to show you the entire coloring process as it is very basic, and I'm using just a dark, a medium, and a light marker to color each image. This is just the same basic coloring that I do every single time whenever I color an image. So here's a look at the finished card, and again, I absolutely love it. Now here's another card idea where I created the background using the 3D embossing folder that's part of my collection. I embossed it on light blue cardstock. I then used a white pigment ink pad to add some color variation. I basically rubbed the ink pad over the embossed sections to add white. And then I used the Be Joyful panel as a sentiment. I cut it down so it's much smaller than it is on the other cards, and I foam mounted it over my dry embossed background. Very easy, and I love it. So here's a look at the Be Joyful Glimmer hot foil plate from my new Yana's De-Light-Ful Christmas collection with Spellbinders. I can't wait to see how you are going to use this glimmer plate. If you do make something, please share online and tag me on social media. I always love seeing what you guys are making. Thanks for spending time with me today. Love you, and I'll see you next time.